Welcome everyone to the Ask an Architect show. Here with me today, Tim Hawk. Tim Hawk is a unique guest for us because Tim is the current AIA liaison on the AIAS Board of Directors. So we're going to explore Tim's background a little bit more and hopefully let you, our audience, get to know him, what he does in practice, and maybe get a little piece of advice, some wisdom, some tips and tricks to help our audience become better architects in the future.
Sure.
So Tim, real quick, kind of give me the 15 to 20 second rundown, who you are and what you do right now.
So I'm a principal of a small firm in Columbus, Ohio. We have about 15 people. We do a lot of innovative design for companies that really want to make a change in the way that they lead their organization. And we also adapt a lot of historic buildings.
Okay.
In addition to that, I've taught for 18 years now. So I am both a practitioner and adjunct professor.
So a variety of things. You have a bunch of different angles. So real well-rounded in terms of your involvement with the profession. But I want to go right into the profession a little bit. And you mentioned we provide some innovative solutions or innovative strategies. So what does that mean to you when you hear innovative strategies, or when you're at your desk thinking about how to innovatively solve a problem for a client? What does that mean to you?
Well, we harness really rich research to go deeper into solving more and more challenges for our clients. So I would say it goes beyond what you traditionally think of as architecture. So
tell us more.
We'll take a corporation, for instance, and we'll evaluate all of their facilities, assess those facilities, meet with them, try to understand human factor needs in relationship to their business strategy, and try to come up with design solutions that drive their mission. So it's going to drive a process of recruitment for talent and create a better workplace for them, and drive them towards a better mission, being able to accomplish the mission with more clarity. And I think it really ends up being well beyond architecture, where we're basically providing a consulting service for them. Almost like a consultancy.
So if a client comes to you and they want a building, you're saying, we're not just going to build you a building, we're going to try to make you a better business.
Right, we're not reacting, but we're trying to drive them so they end up working as hard as we do because they're going to evaluate their needs to create a better business plan.
And anytime you put a new building together, or even a renovation, it's a chance to start fresh a little bit and think about the future.
Right.
Great. So you touched on research as part of the way that you get to whatever innovative strategy you employ. So what does that mean? Is that looking at the workforce? Is that doing a survey? Is that doing some kind of academic research? When you say research, what does that mean? What have you actually done for a client before that kind of falls into that category?
So it's all of the things you mentioned. It's pretty data heavy and analytical. So we have a lot of emerging professionals who work on projects with clients, and they think when they come out of college, the first thing they're going to do is doing fancy renderings, and they end up working with Excel spreadsheets. And the reason they're working with Excel spreadsheets is they're going through counting offices, looking at national standards for space allocation to drive certain types of design results, and weighing the recommendations we make for how big the building should be to those sort of issues. Additionally, the research we do is sociological research in relationship to that institution or that corporation. So we're trying to understand their needs on a human basis, and how that is going to manifest itself to drive better design results.
So you're telling me that when kind of a new entry-level employee comes to work for you at your firm, they're not going to get a typical experience. They're probably going to dive into a much broader, much more research-based exercise, and really kind of come out and grow from there to become a data-driven architect.
Well, both and. So they're going to get construction drawings, renderings, and all the traditional things. But in addition to that, they're going to be enriched by this experience of immersive research.
So let me ask you, the people that come in, what are the type of people that excel in that situation? What kind of characteristics or traits do you see are most successful at your firm when you hire entry-level employees?
They have to know themselves.
That's fantastic.
End of discussion. So,
what does that mean to you?
So what it means is they don't have to come in professing great skill in any one thing.
Okay.
But they have to be self-aware. Mm-hmm. They have to know what they're interested in, and they have to know that they want to work for us in that capacity. Mm-hmm. So if we have a miss in terms of a misalignment in relationship to
Sure.
staffing, it's typically driven by a lack of self-awareness by that young architect, mm-hmm. and her ability to match her interests with what we're doing.
Interesting.
So we feel like we're pretty transparent about our projects and the type of work you're going to be doing, and typically the people that come to work for us are aware of their interests and they're interested in working on our behalf.
So that's fantastic. I think what's really unique about that is that you're highlighting not necessarily a technical skill or
Right.
a particular piece of software. You're just highlighting a very, very psychological human element
Right.
that really anybody can possess.
Right.
You just have to be self-aware that you need to possess that self-awareness.
Right. And we look at it as our job is we're a part of a journey for them. So our firm is intentionally small so we can work directly with projects and at any experience level. Mm-hmm. The new individuals that come into the firm get a lot of engagement, a lot of ability to meet with clients. They're on site, they go to construction sites, they're responsible and accountable for what they do. And there is sort of a understanding that you're going to either grow through the firm, mm-hmm. to become a leader in the firm, or you're going to grow and become more aware of what you really want to do, mm-hmm. and go do that elsewhere.
So either way, you're always moving people in a positive direction.
Yes. So we have reviews every 6 months, mm-hmm. and the reviews are self-reviews.
Okay.
Where you're tracking your career growth based upon your goals, and then the principals in the firm are steering you or giving you feedback in relationship to you becoming more self-aware.
Yeah, I love that approach. I love that outlook. I always think that the best way to make somebody happy is to really understand what their goals are and what they want out of something.
Right.
What are
Right.
they trying to reach next? And if you can help facilitate that, well, then they're going to be very pleased and motivated and want to do a good job with you and where they're at.
Right. So we have people that have come through our firm that now own their own firm, mm-hmm. in my city and compete against us. Mm-hmm. There are people that have gone through our firm that work for some of the largest firms in the nation. One of my former colleagues is the university architect at Stanford. So he had an opportunity to take a leadership position, and he decided that he wanted a different experience, and he moved on in great support
Sure.
from our firm.
Yep.
So I think it's really about deciding where you want to be and engaging where you want to be. And we benefit deeply from that kind of experience. So for me as a principal in the firm,
Yeah.
I don't want to work in a stagnant place. I want to work
Sure.
in a place where I can learn from individuals that want to
You want
participate.
challenges of your own.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're an employee yourself. You want to grow too
Right.
and have that next challenge.
Right, and I want to be around people who want to challenge me.
Yep, 100%.
Right.
You mentioned, people that you grow and go on to start their own firms, sometimes even in your own town.
Mm-hmm.
Some people would look at that as a competitive disadvantage or a problem, but to me, I get the sense that you see it as a source of pride, that you
Absolutely.
help build that person to the point that they're capable enough to go out and do that on their own and be competitive.
Right, yeah.
Tim, this is fantastic. I love these tactics that you're providing. I think they're really valuable to people, especially those who are about to graduate right now. And
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to go back just to that generically. The people who are on the cusp of graduation, what kind of high-level strategic advice / motivation can you give these folks to really kind of hit the ground running as soon as they land in a firm?
Well, I think that education introduces us, as architects, architectural education introduces us to so many different things. And the process of becoming registered also gives you little pockets of information. And then we push people towards strong generalist mindsets.
Sure.
And my firm requires you to have generalist knowledge. However, each person knows themselves and has different skill sets. So if you have a skill set that draws you towards more technical skills, I think the best thing that anyone who's graduating should know is they have to try to find what they're good at. And recognize you have to remain general in order to seek your registration. And you're always going to be asked to do many different things.
Sure.
But you have to know something.
That's good advice.
And you know, the AIA has a program called fellowship,
Sure.
where you become a distinguished architect in the field, etc. And the amazing thing about fellowship that people are not aware of is that it really is about recognizing in yourself what you're good at.
Sure.
And applying for your peers to evaluate whether you become accomplished in that goal.
Yeah, I love that. Most of your advice always kind of centers around the core of self-awareness.
Yes.
Knowing yourself, being self-aware in a firm, being cognizant of what's happening around you, knowing where you want to go.
Right.
So that you can drive to that point.
Right.
Tim, I usually kind of stop on that question with advice for recent graduates, but since you are a faculty member and have been in the classroom, I want to dive a little bit deeper and end on really some advice for current students, maybe even beginning students, first, second, third years. What are some traits or attributes of the really good students that you've had over the years that you can share with us so that we can maybe learn how to be a good student?
I think that the best students that I've had through the years are open.
Open in terms of they have an open mind, they're open to learning new things, they're open to exploring.
Yes, all of those things. So they recognize that education is about being in a situation where you are learning new things. And they are open to your suggestions. They're open to recognize that while they have you for 15 weeks, they're going to listen to you. And they're going to go on that journey with you. So my recommendation to all students is just set yourself into that situation and allow yourself to gain access to that knowledge from that professor.
You're not fighting against it. You're going with it, and you're taking advantage of all the opportunities that it provides.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I got to tell you a 2-second story, and then I guess we can get done. But
let's roll.
Back in the day, in 1989, I had the distinction of being able to be in a studio. Peter Eisenman was my studio instructor, who's like the world's most avant-garde architect at that time. And that's not my cup of tea. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to do this.
Uphill battle.
And the first 2 weeks I fought it. And he would rank you each day, and I was number 10 or something, 12, By the end of the semester, I was number 1. Because I had finally gotten that I was on this journey with Mr. Eisenman to learn his way. Now, do I do Peter Eisenman-esque architecture today? In many ways, it's informed. My work is informed by what he did, by what he taught me. So, that's a story of like intimidation by your professor, but like going on the journey. And I was pig-headed about it, and I learned that lesson. So I would advise all of you, just be open, just take the journey.
And you had talked earlier about knowing who you are, and if you allow yourself to go on all these different journeys with all these professors throughout time, that's going to take you to a point where you learn more about who you are through each of those iterations. And like you said, Peter Eisenman now, in some fashion, is a part of your design decisions. Maybe not inspired by it, but informed by it.
Absolutely.
Well, Tim, this has been fantastic. I feel like this is a lot of strategic and tactical value for our audience. A good look inside of firms and a good strategies for school. I think across the board, you mentioned at the beginning, you're well-rounded, you have a lot of different areas. I think that's what you provided here for our audience. So Tim, thanks so much for being on the show. We'll see you next time on the Ask an Architect Show.